bring in former U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuade and MSNBC Justice and Legal Affairs analyst Anthony Coley. He was most recently the top spokesman at the Department of Justice under Attorney General Merrick Garland. Thank you both for being with us. Barbara, want to get your first thoughts on the indictment and also what makes Georgia different. It feels like Fani Willis has time to really, bear out this case and go through every detail, unlike the other indictments.
Yes, I think that she is in it for the long haul. Using this RICO statute is not one for a quick trial or a quick disposition.
Right.
19 defendants. It's a massive case. I think it may be a little less massive than it appears because she details as overt acts all of these pieces of evidence. My guess is many of these same pieces of evidence will be used in the federal trial as well. But no doubt she has experience using RICO. She's used it 11 times since taking office, and she understands the value of it. You can bring together all of these different aspects of a scheme in one place so a jury can understand the full scope of it. You'll note that she exceeds Fulton County. She talks about conduct in Coffee County. She even talks about conduct occurring in other states to allow the jury to understand that this attack was not isolated in Georgia, but was intended to throw the entire election by including all of these other states. And so, this case may not go to trial in the next 6 months as she hopes and she aspires to. But eventually it's going to go. And as we just heard, there's no pardon available from a president for conviction in the state of Georgia.
So, Anthony, let me ask you about Merrick Garland. You obviously know him. You know the DOJ, and you also know about communications coming from the DOJ. You're perfect, I think, the perfect person to ask this question. Does Merrick Garland need to come out, hold a press conference at some point, and explain all the things that are going on? Of course, we say here all the time that that Donald Trump's cases are Donald Trump's, and Hunter Biden's cases are Hunter Biden's. But right now, there is a lot of questions swirling around the Hunter Biden case. The Washington Post yesterday suggested in an editorial that things weren't the way they should be. You've got the special counsel here. You've got Donald Trump with now 4 indictments, 2 of them federal indictments. Wouldn't it be a good idea for Merrick Garland to come out and explain, for instance, why the January 6th trial is moving forward in an expeditious manner, what exactly happened to Hunter Biden, sort through it all, and explain why he's not running a political department?
That's exactly right. And the Attorney General and I have had this conversation multiple times. I think his view is that it is best to have is best to speak through our court filings. Now, having said that, there is obvious utility in talking to the American people about the process that you are running within the Justice Department to make sure that you're following the facts and the law, and that partisan politics are not a part of decision making here. So he absolutely should speak publicly more to the extent that he can about ongoing criminal investigations. I don't suspect that he will. I will say this, Joe, I spent 2 years there. I know for a fact, and you mentioned the Hunter Biden situation here. What's important for your viewers to know is that the U.S. attorney in this case, David Weiss, has been treated like a special counsel for this entire time, quite honestly. The attorney general has deferred to his decision making in this case. But to your point, the attorney general himself can and should speak to that process more than he has previously.
Hey, Barb McQuade, it's John Heilman here. I think it's fair to say that because of the nature of these charges, we're not as concerned as I'm kind of fixated on in the other cases, particularly the 2 Washington-based cases, the Florida-based case and the Washington-based case, the 2 special counsel cases, on like, can we get these things done before the election, or can Donald Trump push them off? There's reasons to not be as worried about that here, but I'm still curious what you think. You said the long haul before. What do you think the timeline is for this? I heard Joe earlier on the show say that given the scale of this, these indictments that you're be looking at years potentially. That there's not a thing you can get done quickly. She last night said, and I don't know if she really meant this idea that you would try 19 defendants together all in one process, and that struck me as a little fanciful, and a number of our legal analysts said so last night. So what's your sense about the mechanics of how long it's going to take, how it's going to unfold in terms of just what we can expect to see when this thing finally does get inside a courtroom?
In a perfect world, I think Fani Willis would get her wish, and that is many of these defendants would plead guilty, maybe even flip and cooperate, and you would be down to a small number of defendants, maybe a core group of 5 or 6, and then you could go to trial with that group. And again, in a perfect world, maybe you could go to trial in 6 months. You exchange discovery, you have some routine motions, and the case goes to trial. But this is anything but routine, and so when you have 19 defendants, all of them have the ability to have issues, to file motions, and each one of those has to be responded to and heard by the judge. Some of them will overlap and can be heard together. They will invariably have attorney problems. Someone will have a lawyer and will decide they have some sort of conflict of interest with their lawyer and want to fire their lawyer and start over. Someone will get sick. There are all kinds of things that can delay this. And so, RICO cases that I've handled before have taken years, not months, to complete all defendants through trial. But Fani Willis can also prioritize and put Donald Trump in the first trial group. So he's in the first batch of 5, and then maybe some of the other people, defendants 18, 19, some of those people can be tried down the road. But I'd be very surprised if this could be tried before the November 2024 election.
So, Anthony, I mean, obviously, we just have been documenting here just how sprawling this case is going to be. There's a sense that the January 6th election interference case being tried federally is designed to go much quicker. My question for you, if you could just draw upon your experience at DOJ, what level, if any, of coordination might there be in terms of simply some of the scheduling? This is a defendant right now, Donald Trump, who's facing 4 criminal matters, a number of other civil ones. His calendar is going to get pretty full pretty fast. He's also running for president. So walk us through how this is all going to be worked out.
Right. So federal prosecutors can and should, and judges, quite frankly, can and should talk amongst themselves about the calendar here. And the other important thing, and I want to go back, Jonathan, if I can, to what Joe asked me earlier. The other thing that the Justice Department can and should do when these federal cases get underway in 2024 is petition the Judicial Conference of the United States to allow cameras in federal courtrooms. For your viewers who may not know, the Judicial Conference is the federal policy-making body which determines whether or not federal and video live recordings can and should be allowed. I suspect my former colleagues at the Justice Department will not agree with that type of step. They are institutionalists in the kindest, best sense of the word. But there is so much misinformation coming from Donald Trump and his allies right now. The absolute best thing that they can do to ensure that the facts remain front and center in this investigation is to petition the Judicial Conference to allow video in these federal courtrooms. And Jonathan, that I think, when you talk about the calendar in 2024, that's the best thing that the public needs to see as they prepare to cast their votes for the next president.